Hi, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Diana.
And this is Pillow Fort Chillers, where we talk about crime, cryptids, or anything that just, keeps us up at night.
And there is a lot of it.
So today, sorry for the, it looks a little different, but I think that the one thing that actually matters is the audio. So we're just filming at her house. We're having some technical difficulties, but don't you worry about it. We still got a story for you.
Yes.
But, and we also, I brought everything except for our cups. Our cups. So we don't really have a drink of the day. I mean, I have G Fuel, not sponsored.
And I have water because I just got off of work.
So, and then I got to go home after this. So you know what? We're chilling, okay? We're chilling.
Yeah.
Next time.
She also did forget the ring light. So next time, the lighting will be better.
Okay.
Diana's not a filmer.
Okay, I didn't forget the ring light. I just didn't bring it because I thought it'd be fine. But it turns out it wasn't fine. Next time.
It turns out that Diana's house is not well lit.
It's a little dark, but it's okay.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't have any, built-in lighting except for in the kitchen and in the bathroom.
We're going to pretend that the hurricane knocked out the lights, okay?
Oh, the hurricane.
The hurricane.
Which
Here comes the hurricane. Here comes the hurricane.
So, the hurricane that... it was a
hurricane.
It was a historic hurricane to hit Southern California, which I think we mentioned in every single episode that we are from Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, me being me, I charged all of our portable batteries. I filled up all our water containers with fresh water. I was like, okay, there's a chance that we're going to lose power for a couple of days, whatever. Bro, it rained.
I did zero hurricane prep. I just, I didn't even we went to Costco, we got some food, but we already had to go to Costco, so we just, went to the store.
Yeah.
But
we didn't do any shopping, so that was one thing. We didn't go out and buy anything.
And there were so many freaking people there, and I was like, guys, and it ended up just being a little bit it wasn't even that heavy of rain.
It came down pretty good here for a while, but there wasn't a lot of wind. We did get a little bit of flooding, but we do during all storms. I live in a canyon. I get flooding no matter if it's 5 centimeters of rain or 5 inches of rain.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
But we're fine. The hurricane really didn't do a whole lot. I don't even think it knocked out power where we were.
We had a couple, spots of losing power.
I think we flickered for, less than 1 second, one time. And not even the whole house. Because there's a lamp in my living room that when the power flickers, it turns on its own. Mm-hmm. If the power goes out and comes back on, the lamp comes on. So that lamp was on. So I was like, did the power flicker? And he's like, I don't know. My computer didn't turn off because he was on his computer. So I think only a part of the house flickered. But, I don't know.
We actually lost, power a couple times. Everything shut off. The whole apartment went dark.
But what's so funny is that we lose power sometimes when there's not even a storm.
Yeah. Well, I think also it went past you guys.
I think it turned.
Well, yeah, because it hit Palm Desert and Lancaster and, that area super, super hard. Mm. So I think it, passed over me, and then instead of going towards you, it went the other way.
And I know what happens sometimes, because this happened to me when I was living in Georgia, is sometimes with the way that hurricanes are, they have little tails that whip off.
Yeah.
And one time, when we had hurricane, I think it was Irma, it turned and it literally was aiming right where I lived in Hinesville. In Savannah, the whole thing. And then it went and turned off towards Atlanta, last minute. They literally were predicting it was going to hit us for 3 days straight. Yeah. And then it randomly turned, but one of the tails whipped, and it hit us as, I think it was either, when it finally hit us and it whipped past us, it hit us as a tropical storm, but it actually broke trees and stuff too.
Yeah.
So there were trees, when you were driving, there were trees ripped in half and through people's roofs and stuff.
Yeah.
And it did some serious damage even just from that one little tail that flicked off. And I think that's what happened to us up there. Because our rain was it was a lot of rain, but it was it wasn't heavy enough to where I could just kind of walk out and it wasn't super terrible. And even our flooding, wasn't even... We didn't have any... My plants are fine. My outdoor plants didn't even get waterlogged.
Yeah. Ours... So, I live in an apartment complex, so the complex floods when it rains. But also...
the dips.
I'm also sandwiched in a canyon in between 2 large hillsides, so everything washes down.
Yeah.
So we just had a lot of flooding, but like I said, it happens every storm. from what I was watching it, here, we were watching the storm on our phones, but we were in our pajamas watching Twilight with the window open, just having a good old time. But we were watching it, and it, like, the eye missed us. It didn't go over us, but we got, like, the bulk of the storm, and it wasn't even that bad. At that point, it was a tropical storm, but, like, you know, let me just say, we didn't need to take advice from Florida.
But there was also
Georgia.
an earthquake at the same time.
In Ohio, yeah.
That's crazy.
Well,
California said, excuse me.
I was seeing so many jokes that was like, California gave us an earthquake, so when the floods ruin our houses, we can still collect insurance policies.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
California be like, excuse me, stand back. You want to stand a real natural disaster? Okay.
Yeah.
They used to say, get out of my territory, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, our insurance only covers, like, fires and earthquakes. We don't fucking cover hurricanes.
It's so funny because when I lived in Georgia and I lived in the South and I lived in Texas and stuff, when tornadoes came through, people would just be, like, out and about and, like, like, they don't even care. But if you talk to them about earthquakes, they freak out. And we're over here just like, yeah, earthquake, baby!
But, and, like, let's be honest, but that's how we are about all natural disasters. When I tell you, like, when we were running errands this weekend on Saturday, like, we had to get stuff for the animals and whatnot, like, just food and whatnot. People were just living their lives. There were people strolling into Michael's, people out grocery shopping. No one was in a panic.
People will be in their bed and just be like this, like, to an earthquake, and you're like, go back to watching TV while you're vibing.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to make it in the episode. Have I told it before on an episode? Where I thought that you were pranking me during an earthquake?
Yeah, you did.
Seriously, one of my favorite memories of our friendship, because I wholeheartedly, like, I slapped the side of the bed expecting to make contact with your head.
Damn, she was trying to punch me in the face.
It was open-handed. First of all, I'm 4 years younger than you.
I terrorized her, though. Like, I terrorized her. I was a menace.
Yeah. It was the dragging the knife along the door frame to try and scare me. That was one of my favorites.
I was just telling her earlier, I was like, I still think that it's so funny that they would just come into the kitchen and I would just be in the refrigerator. And they're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, how long have you been here? I don't know, a while. Why? I'm just getting food.
There have been times where I would come home from school and Lisa is already in my kitchen making food. So, no boundaries here. None. Anyways, I guess we can actually start the podcast now.
Mm-hmm.
So our historic California hurricane kind of prompted us to write this episode. It was on my list, as was the Titanic.
Yeah.
But when things happen, I kind of get inspired by those events.
So we figured we would talk a little bit about a hurricane, huh?
Yeah. I actually, for those of you who don't know, which most are not going to know, I studied natural disasters in college. I was a geology major, but my emphasis was on natural disasters.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So, natural disasters are, like, one of my favorite things on the face of the planet. However, I'm gonna put in a little pause there. While hurricanes are a natural disaster, they are a weather phenomenon, not something that I studied. So, I'm not too great with hurricanes. And
hurricanes aren't considered natural disasters?
They are natural disasters, but they're a weather natural disaster, unlike fires or earthquakes or volcanoes, where it is the earth moving.
So you didn't study, like, tornadoes?
No, I studied earthquakes, volcanoes, landslides, sinkholes.
Okay.
Earth
processes. So, earth natural disasters, whereas there's, like, air. Oh, okay.
Fire.
So, I was gonna say, so you were an airbender.
No, I wasn't an airbender, I was an earthbender.
Okay.
Yeah. Occasionally a firebender, because that tends to happen within the earth as well.
If you could be a bender, what would you be? I would definitely be... I'm in between water and fire, because, like, I don't know, water bending seems so cool, but, like, fire bending? Like, come on, bro.
I'm an air sign. I'm an Aquarius, so I obviously go straight to, I should be an airbender, obviously. But if anybody knows me, they know that I am an earthy girl. So I think it's just natural that I would be an earthbender.
I think I'd be a firebender.
I think so too. You are.
She's like, you're such a fire sign.
Hot
mama. Oh my god, so are you. Stop. You're such a earthy girl.
Let me go grab my Birkenstocks and my Nalgene.
Oh my god, stop. You wouldn't catch me dead in Birkins. No.
we're going to stop now.
You would.
Because you can rip my Birkenstocks off of my cold dead feet.
You and Sam, I swear. You see, for me, you better fucking put me down. You better bury me in some beautiful high strappies. Some strappy high heels.
Actually, bury me barefoot.
Because I'm fucking entering heaven. I'm here. Hello.
No,
Silence, crickets.
I'm just gonna be barefoot. Cause right, like, isn't the afterlife supposed to be like all happy, rainbow, sunshine, your best life?
I mean, even Jesus wore sandals. He wore some strappies.
But isn't heaven supposed to be your best life?
Yes.
Okay, then why would there be shoes present?
In my best life, I can wear the most beautiful strappy high heels with no foot pain.
In my best life, I can walk around barefoot constantly and my feet never get dirty. And I never fuck up my
And I never get plantar fasciitis. That's the life.
I actually have plantar fasciitis, but I just suck it up because I gotta...
We gonna have mojitos in heaven?
I don't really like mojitos. Change the drink. I'll think about it.
Alright.
So, today we are talking about Sister Mary's Orphan Asylum and the Galveston Hurricane of 1900. St. Mary's Orphan Asylum, as it's called. No, it wasn't an orphanage. It was an orphan asylum.
For all them crazy babies.
Yeah, all them crazy fucking orphans.
Before we can talk about the hurricane and how this ties into what's going on right now, we need to give you some backstory on the asylum.
Yes.
And the crazy babies. And the nuns that, I don't know, probably hit them with a ruler or something.
No. From my research, these nuns were nice nuns. However, most of the people who were raised by these nuns are now dead. So, I can't say.
Who can say?
Yeah. It was an orphan asylum, which was basically an orphanage run by a group of Catholic nuns who called themselves and were called the Sisters of Charity. The orphanage opened in 1867 and ran until 1900 when the hurricane hit, and then eventually rebooted up in a different location and ran until 1968, until people realized that the Catholics were a little iffy sometimes. The Sisters of Charity were called to Galveston by the local bishop to take care of the victims of the yellow fever epidemic, and they actually ran the St. Mary's Infirmary as well. So the Sisters of Charity were actually a much larger group of nuns. But there were 10 nuns that specifically ran the orphanage. And the orphanage originated in the St. Mary's Infirmary, but then eventually did move about 3 miles down the road to the beach. The sisters just felt like this was the best thing for the kids in general. One, they're not near all the people dying of yellow fever. And two, they are on the beach, which is calming and relaxing.
They're just doing it for the kids.
Yeah.
Wasn't an asylum something different back then? Like, we think asylum, we think, like, for the
crazy
criminally
people.
insane, but wasn't an asylum, like...
Just, back in the day, asylums were used for housing, I guess, or care centers for people who did not have anywhere else to go. So you had orphan asylums, you had insane asylums, you had homeless asylums, you had, an asylum was just a place where people congregated because they had nowhere else to go. And they were taken care of by a group of people. Yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of terminally ill people who weren't, back before cancer was known as cancer, and these people were just dying. They had symptoms that no one could figure out.
Were terminal.
They would go to asylums to be cared for, whatever. The orphanage started inside the infirmary. They moved them out, whatever. They felt it was best for the children. The asylum was located on the corner of 69th Street and Seawall Boulevard in Galveston, which, for those of you who do not know, Galveston is an island. It is a barrier island. So it is not attached to mainland Texas. It is off the coast. They have this building, 2 buildings that were 2 stories, 1 girl dormitory, 1 boy dormitory. There were some other buildings as well, but those were the 2 main buildings right on the beach. And
no
both
funny business.
Yeah. No hanky-panky.
No hanky-panky.
Both buildings had balconies that just overlooked the open ocean. beautiful, beautiful place. And there was like sand dunes, kind of like a row blocking them from the actual shoreline. It was, by all accounts, very beautiful. We'll insert pictures. And it housed 93 children cared for by the 10 nuns. And unfortunately, a lot of these children were orphans because their parents died during the yellow fever epidemic. So, naturally, the nuns took them.
And that's honestly so insane. Like, imagine 10 caretakers for almost 100 children. That's actually, when you think about it, like, damn.
Yeah. During the years leading up to the hurricane in Galveston, I want to touch on this just to kind of like emphasize that Galveston could have been something great. Like, it is a good city now. But it was really up and coming. It was becoming a very, very wealthy city. It was one of the wealthiest cities per capita in the United States, and it was like the third largest in the state of Texas up until September 8th.
Okay, girl.
Yeah, up until September 8th, 1900, which is when the hurricane hit. And just to give you a little perspective, Galveston at this time had a population of 36,000 people, which is just a little bit smaller than the town we grew up in, which had 50,000 people when we were growing up.
And our town never felt small, so
No.
it's like it felt like we lived in like nice burbs and not like super urban or like we were like, you know, ass to ass with everybody. But like anywhere you go, there's people walking down the street, walking their dogs, children playing, people on bikes, people who took their daily walks, like people at the store. Like it never felt like a ghost town.
Yeah, but it was a small enough town where people knew who you were. You know?
I don't know. Like our city didn't feel like it would be small enough for people to know who everyone was. Maybe like on your street.
You know how many times I would be gallivanting around the center? Gallivanting around the center, which a lot of people know where the center is, what the center is. I hit up Taco Bell, I hit up Starbucks, hit up CVS,
If
hit
you're
up
from La
Albertsons.
Mirada and you know what the center is from the early
Shout
2000s, shout out.
You know, go hit up the Dollar Movie Theater, you know, whatever.
The Dollar Theater.
So, but I would come home after a day of gallivanting around the center, and my parents would recount my day from me from all the people who would tell them, oh, I saw Diana, she was at CVS. Oh, I saw Diana, she was at Starbucks. Oh, I saw Diana, she was going to the movie theater. And I'm like, I can't fucking do shit.
I never got that vibe from our city. It doesn't feel that.
To be fair, I am very recognizable. You're loud.
Wow, rude. So rude.
Okay.
Okay.
2,
Okay.
I am large and bright.
And in charge?
No, I'm bright.
Yes. You're bright.
Yeah, I take up a lot of room. I'm noticeable.
I don't know. I never got that vibe. Like, at least not for me. I never really had that experience. I mean, everybody, you know, we know each other, like, on our street.
Well, yeah.
But other than that,
We were
like...
raised together.
Other than that, it never really felt, like, small or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe we just, like, had different experiences. Because,
Yeah.
once again, I'm... Like, you graduated high school when I was a freshman. So, like...
Yeah, but that wouldn't make, like, the growing up experience that different in the, like, experiencing, like, the city feeling small or big or whatever.
I think it might have.
Actually, like, I used to walk around with, like, Sarissa, like, when I was, like, 11, you know? I used to walk around and go to the, you know, we'd come home at, like, midnight or whatever.
We all
and
did.
We all screwed around, and then my mom started, like, telling me I gotta come home by, like, 9 or 10, and I was like, I don't understand. Like, when I was 11, you used to let me stay out till midnight and go to the Dollar Theater and run around and everything. And she finally was just like, well, you know, you're becoming, you know, your body is becoming more of, like, a woman now. And, like, people are going to start, like, noticing you a little bit more as not, like, a child. And that was the first time I was ever kind of, like, I ever had to consider, like, my own, like, age and, like, my own body and stuff.
See, everyone always considered me a child.
Mm.
I was Katrina's little sister. I was Mike's kid.
Yeah, once I hit, like,
My parents
13
were known.
13 or 14ish, and I started kind of coming into my teenage and, like, you know, growing up in puberty and stuff. That's when they were like, maybe not.
I went through puberty, but I also just got fatter. By the way, I've always been fat. Like, just in case anybody was wondering. I've always been fat. You can ask her. She's been trying to make me skinny my whole life.
I've not been trying to make you skinny.
You've been trying to motivate me.
I have been trying to, if you told me you had a goal, I tried to help you hit that goal, but if you told me you didn't want to anymore, then I left it alone.
Yeah, but I only started standing up for myself once I was older.
Standing up for yourself?
So, I've always been fat. So, as I hit
this
puberty, I just got fatter, along with getting boobs. So, it wasn't a threat. I don't think my parents... First of all, my parents didn't really give a shit what I did. I was not well looked after.
I hate boobs. They're
but
awful.
Also, I think they knew that no self-respecting kidnapper would look at me and be like, I could definitely pick that thing up and put it in my car.
I can't believe this is happening right now. I have no idea what to say.
We're going to have to cut so much out of this episode. It's really gone off the rails.
It's gone off the fucking rails.
All right,
are you surprised? All right. Anyway.
The actual, name of the hurricane, now we have Hurricane Hillary that just decided to hang out in California. The name of this hurricane was the Hurricane of 1900. That is how brutal this storm was, and that is how hard it hit Galveston. They didn't even need to give it a name. They were like, no, this is the
hurricane
of 1900.
Of all hurricanes.
Yeah. So it was a Category 4 hurricane that hit the southern coast of Texas.
And I'll insert a photo of kind of the different categories of hurricanes as they go through and increase, and they go from a tropical storm to I think it's 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, right? So a Cat 1 is the worst?
No, Cat 1 is the smallest.
Oh.
Yeah, Cat 5.
Doesn't it go up to 5? Yeah, it goes up to 5. Yeah, that's right. So it was a 4. It was almost the worst.
It was a 4, almost the worst. The winds at its peak were up to 140 miles per hour.
That's insane.
I know. Galveston took the brunt of the storm, being a barrier island, which, for those who know about barrier islands and geology and natural disasters, barrier islands are the unsung hero of any storm moving towards the mainland, because they will often take the brunt of the storm and significantly slow the storm down.
Basically, when a storm is coming over the top of the ocean or water, it's flat, and then obviously momentum, the first thing that it hits is going to break a lot of the momentum, which is what a barrier island is, and it's really sad. And that also goes for outer states and stuff too, which tend Florida, the tip of Florida will often
Louisiana.
Be a barrier section where it'll hit and it breaks on the land right there, which is why the first hit is usually the worst.
And I'm gonna get so sciencey with you. The reason why actual islands are not considered to kind of have the same effect is because there's so much space in between the island and the mainland that it can gain speed again before it hits land again. But barrier islands, because they are so close to the mainland, it does not have time to pick up its speed and its momentum before it hits the mainland again. So it kind of just tapers off, which is why Texas didn't get hit nearly as hard as it could have. Weather watchers in Cuba spotted the storm and radioed to Galveston to warn them of this giant hurricane headed their way. But the warnings were ignored, and there were several reasons or excuses for why people chose to listen or chose not to listen to the Cubans and flee. Some did leave the island, but the majority stayed. Some people, said that they didn't believe the warning. They were like, okay, well, it's Cuba.
Talking to you, Titanic.
Yeah, they were like, okay, well, it's Cuba, so I'm not going to listen to that. Some felt that, newer technology that the Cuban weather watchers...
Was that a dig at Cubans being stubborn?
No, it was a dig at Texans not trusting anybody that's not an American.
Oh.
Yeah.
But Cubans are stubborn.
They are. But they have freaking amazing coffee and the best food, so...
And sandwiches.
Oh, I fucking love a Cuban sandwich. Anyways.
Mm.
Another reason was a lot of people felt like the newer technology that was being used to track weather was unreliable, so they were like, why am I gonna up and leave? Keep in mind, this is 1900. This isn't just packing your kids into the car and driving across a bridge. You have to take a boat to flee. It's 1900. So some people were like, why am I gonna go through all this fucking trouble when there's a chance that this technology is not accurate?
Then it's nothing.
Yeah. Some put all their faith in the fact that their homes were built recently, so it should be able to withstand a big storm. But the biggest reason, and the most prevalent, and why a lot of people who did survive this said that they didn't leave, is that no one believed that a hurricane could actually reach Texas nor cause significant damage. Because up until this point, yes, Texas had tropical storms. They had other, like, very small hurricanes that didn't do a lot of damage. Like, I'm talking, like, no deaths. Maybe some buildings got a little damage, but, like, nothing severe. Up until this point, they had not experienced a hurricane like this. So
outer states get some weather.
Yeah. They had no idea what this was about to be.
Can you imagine being one of the people that decided not to leave and the hurricane's about to hit and you're like, realizing that it's about to blow your ass away?
Yeah, I have a feeling that the people in this orphanage had a few moments like that.
Like, can you just imagine, like, you're like, but like, you're genuinely stubborn and you're like, it's no big deal. And then you're just looking on the horizon and you're like, oh no.
I'm just really glad we didn't have that experience this last weekend.
Yeah, me too.
Me and Kevin actually talked about it because I was like, dude, I really don't think it's going to be anything, but, like, just in case, because part of my natural disaster schooling was making a plan no matter what. And so I was like, just in case, we'll hop on I-10, you know, just boogie on out of here, go all the way through to Arizona. You know, we'll not get hit by anything there. Luckily, we didn't follow my plan because I-10 was completely shut down because of the flooding had flooded silt all over the freeway.
See, when Hurricane Irma hit where I lived, I paid a couple $100 to have someone, I don't know how much it was. It was a decent amount of money to have someone come out. They come out and they board up your windows,
yeah,
so that the hurricane doesn't blow them out, because my whole house, I think I had like 13 windows or like 11 windows. I had a lot of windows in my house.
Yeah.
The tall, skinny ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had them come out and board up on my windows, and then last minute it turned and it was just a tropical and it was just rain for at least where I was at. I was so mad about it because I was like, I spent this money and then they had to come out in a few days.
But, like, better safe than sorry.
I know, but I was still so like, oh my God, why did I waste money? Like my ex was like making fun of me and he was just like, you're boarding up your windows, and I'm just like, this is my house, dude.
Me and Kevin were sitting here, and you know how we've been, like, talking about the whole house thing and buying land and whatnot, and a lot of the house plans that we've been looking at have, like, floor-to-ceiling windows in the great room that cover, like, an entire wall. You know how, like, my Aunt Heather's house is like
window,
that?
Yeah.
Kind of, no, but, like, think more mid-century
I get it. It's
modern.
like a wall window. I get it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the mid-century modern ones where it's the A-frame, so you've got, like, 15-foot tall windows just going straight up. We were sitting here, and I was like, okay, so if hurricanes are going to be hitting California now, we may need is that a thing now? We may need to rethink this window situation here.
When's the last time a hurricane hit California?
1930 something.
Shut up. It's been almost 100 years.
Yeah.
Bro, that's wild.
Yeah. It is so rare. Science Diana here. It is so rare for tropical storms to form off the coast of California because of how cold our waters are.
Yeah.
So even if it forms further out and travels towards us, our cold water just shuts that shit down.
Global warming.
Stop being bitches and take care of the planet.
Sorry, we both believe in global warming, so if you don't, you're just going to have to get over it.
Yeah, if you don't believe in science, I don't think we're the podcast for you.
I may not believe in everything. Like, I may have different opinions about ghosts, or not really feel like I believe in cryptids, or, you know, certain things that happen.
That's not
but
science.
Like, global warming, like, come on.
Yeah. Ghosts and cryptids are not science.
Let's leave the planet a better place than when we found it, okay?
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of them felt like the hurricane couldn't even hit Texas or hit it as hard.
You was wrong.
And they were very wrong. So St. Mary's Orphanage was, like I said, located on the very coast of Galveston Island, facing out towards the sea. And as the storm is traveling, you know, towards the island, there's actually a significant amount of wind building up and going south, like, towards the storm. Despite this, there were waves, like, freaking hitting those sand dunes right in front of the house like crazy. the tide was already swelling up. And one of the sisters, one of the nuns, Sister Elizabeth Ryan, went into town. Because like I said, the orphanage is about 3 miles down the road outside of like the city center. She went to town to collect food and other supplies that they would need and stop by the infirmary to get like medical supplies should they need them, and to kind of check in on some of the other sisters and see how they were doing. The other sisters that were at that infirmary, not very Catholic of them, begged her not to go back to the orphanage. They begged her to stay at the hospital until the storm passed. Even they could see that that was just a death wish. But Sister Elizabeth Ryan, being the nun that she is, said, "Sorry guys, can't stay. I've got all the provisions for these kids in my cart, and I've got to take it down to them, and they're going to starve. To get them
through the storm, yeah.
Yeah, or they're going to starve." So she went back. Our faithful sister. Anyways,
good for you, sister.
I know. During the afternoon after she returned to the house, the rain continued to grow stronger. The tides in the Gulf got higher, causing the crashing waves to start to kind of erode the sand dunes. One of the boys who survived this incident said that they were eroding away, like the waves were so violent, they were eroding away the sand dunes as if they were made of flour. They were just washing away.
That is so scary. What's the difference between a hurricane and a monsoon?
A monsoon doesn't need warm water to thrive like a hurricane does.
Are they the same? Like, do they look the same as far as a storm?
No. Hurricanes are a lot more defined, like when you look at them from the top.
I keep forgetting there's all these crazy things. Monsoon, typhoon.
There's also a cyclone.
Not a storm like a hurricane or a summer thunderstorm, but a much larger pattern of winds and rain that spans a large geographic area like a continent or even the entire globe.
Mm-hmm.
What the
Yeah. And they don't need, like, the existence of warm water to really...
Because my neighbor was saying that we get monsoons up in the high desert. That we have, like, a monsoon season.
Mm-hmm. The water quickly eroded away all of the dunes and reached the orphanage, and the sisters decided that it was time to start preparing for what was about to happen.
Now it's time?
Well, so they had made preparations, but what I mean is, like, they had to start moving the kids to higher ground because the hurricane was there. So what they did is they decided to move all of the children into the girls' dormitory because it was newer and stronger than the other one. They all gathered in the first floor chapel, and the sisters tried to calm the children by singing a song called The Queen of the Waves. I don't know about you, but if there was a giant hurricane heading towards me, I don't think I would want a song about the waves being sung to me.
I don't want to sing a song, sister!
Yeah. I copy and pasted the lyrics into these notes, so we'll put the lyrics, and if I can find a clip of the song, maybe we could play it or not.
I'll put the lyrics in the description.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't think I would want to sing that while I'm waiting for the hurricane to come freaking blow me away.
No, it seems like we're dying. That's what that song seems like, but that's okay. The waters continued to rise, and soon the group had to make their way to the second floor of the dormitory. They continued to sing that creepy-ass song, and one of the sisters asked a coworker to bring her a length of clothesline. One of the older boys who survived said that the children were very frightened, but the sisters were very brave. He kind of elaborated and said that, they would comfort them and kiss them and stroke their heads and just be very kind to them, trying to comfort them as best as they could. So by 6 p.m. on Saturday the 8th, the winds were gusting past 100 miles an hour, and the entire city of Galveston was flooded. The residents who stayed behind were fleeing to their second floors, attics, and roofs. But unfortunately, the people who did try and get out onto the roof were often struck by flying debris.
That's so sad.
I know.
Dude, you're sitting on your roof trying to, like, get out of the freaking flooding, and it's like a tree branch just, like, comes and...
Oh, no, it wasn't just tree branches.
I was just, really like, that was the first thing that came to mind. It's just, like, a big-ass tree branch.
Not even a branch, just a whole tree.
Yeah, a whole tree just comes and takes your ass out.
Maybe a cow.
Imagine just, like, a freaking recycling bin.
Man, and those things are nasty. That would make me want to die.
Yeah, I would rather die.
So, around this time, the sisters decided, in order to not lose the children, they would tie 6 to 8 children to each sister so that they could stay together. Was not a good plan. Around 7:30 that evening, the main tidal surge and the eye of the storm struck the south shore of the island. Houses along the beachfront were lifted off their foundations and sent flying into houses behind them. From witness statements, it was said that houses were falling upon houses like they were dominoes. At the orphanage, they heard the crash of the boys' dormitory as it collapsed and was swept away by the floodwaters.
So crazy.
I know. Some of the older children actually did climb up onto the roof of the building, and not long after that, the building was lifted from its foundation and the roof came caving in, trapping all those who did stay inside. Only 3 older boys survived this whole thing. They were actually found in a tree. Yeah.
So 3 out of 103 people survived.
Their names were William Murney, Frank Madeira, and Albert Campbell, and they are how we know exactly what events took place inside the orphanage that day, is because they're the only survivors. One of the boys said that he remembered one of the sisters holding on tightly to 2 children, promising not to let them go as he exited the window to go to the roof. The sisters and children were buried where they were found, still tethered together. A lot of them were found somewhat close to the home and on the beach, except 2 of them were found on the mainland of Texas, one of which was still tightly clinging to 2 small children, as the story is told. I cannot find any official evidence of that, but there were no sort of stories citing it, so I do suppose that it is correct, which is heartbreaking because she never gave up her promise to never let go of them.
See, that for me, like the whole thing where they like found them all tied up, like that kind of seemed almost sinister to me, but I think I'm just cynical. So I mean, they probably just in case there was like water coming through and they weren't drowning, maybe they didn't want like the little kids to get like swept away.
Yeah,
or they didn't want the kids to freak out and take off running or something.
That's what the boys were saying. Was the intention was that each sister took 6 to 8 kids and tied them to herself so that she could keep them near her. So
little groups.
When they were floating, they weren't floating away from each other, and that they could kind of stay together as a group.
Yeah.
Which now researchers say ultimately did end up causing them to drown faster than if they would have stayed separate.
Really?
Yeah. The weight, and since some of the kids probably didn't know how to swim,
it was dragging everybody down.
Yeah. So,
dang, that's sad.
The vast majority of those who died of drowning. The impact that this hurricane had on the island of Galveston was absolutely devastating. More than 6,000 people were dead, and their bodies were quite literally scattered all over the island and coast of the mainland after the flooding subsided. Nearly the rest of the island was left homeless due to entire neighborhoods being leveled or houses being damaged so badly that they were not livable. The whole island and city of Galveston is said to be haunted. However, there are a lot of accounts specifically tied to St. Mary's and the area surrounding where the orphanage used to sit. Near where the orphanage was, there is now a Walmart.
Of course, there's a Walmart.
Yeah. On the coast of Galveston Island, there's a fucking Walmart. Several people, employees and customers, have reported misplaced toys, missing pallets of toy inventory, phantom children's laughter, and cries for parents.
And there's even like an interview that I watched. There was like another YouTube channel, and I can link it. They did an interview of a woman that's been working at that Walmart for like 15 years, and she says she like talks to them or plays around with the ghosts, and she'll go in like the toy aisle and be like, "Hey, I'm here. How are you guys doing?" And they'll like press buttons on toys and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's like an interview, like I said, I'll link it. You can watch it, where she is like, "Oh, press a button, let them know you're here," and they start like pressing little buttons and stuff, and be like, "Sing your ABCs," and then turn on an ABC toy. And I was like, no, I don't think so. Demon.
So I have the story from a former employee who said that, and this is an account that was given to a reporter, this employee remained anonymous, said that she heard a child crying for their mother. So naturally, like one does, especially if you're a female, you go searching for this child to reunite them, but she couldn't find them. She searched the whole area around where she heard the crying. She called out to them, saying, "Hey, where are you? I'll help you find your mom." and she could still hear the crying, but never found them. She recruited other employees as well as customers who also were hearing this crying. And so by the time that, this is all going on, there were like 5 people looking for this kid. And they were all in aisles, like searching. And the way that this was described, which was terrifying, is it always sounded like it was on the next aisle over. Yeah. So they never found a child. They never saw a child crying. And suddenly the crying stopped. She said that it sounded like the child was always crying on the next aisle over, but when she would get there was nothing there. She didn't even see anyone around. Like, there was no other people that could be making this child noise.
After, like, the second aisle, I would have been done. Stop looking for that freaking crying. I would have been gone. Goodbye. Goodbye, child.
Yeah.
There was even a guy that said that he was, like, he was there. I can't remember if he was working there or not, but he said he heard what sounded like laughing. And he said it's like distinctly sounded like a child. And then he was like, he called out and was like, hello, who's there? I think it was like at night now that like I in the interview. And then nobody answered and he didn't hear it anymore. And he was like looking around and there was nothing on the cameras. I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So this employee said that it sounded so real that 2 other employees that were helping her look actually got into an argument over trying to find this kid. So one employee was on one aisle, one was on the other, and one of them, let's say the one that's on the right aisle, was like, hey, can't you, like, look, they're right by you. I can hear them. And the other one's like, no.
They're by you.
What the fuck are you talking about? They're by you. And neither one of them could find the kid. Yeah. Terrifying.
She's on your side. No, she's on your side. No.
No, she's on the other side.
She's a demon.
So there's another account from a former employee saying that he marked toy out of stock, which if you've worked in retail, when you mark something out of stock, you have to damage it for most companies. Walmart is one of the companies that you do have to damage the merchandise before you throw it out. Usually there's like a bin marked for marked out of stock items.
What?
Yeah.
You have to damage it?
Most of the time it's already damaged, but you have to damage it further so it can't be like taken and used.
That is so gross. That is a gross practice. And this is for any of you guys that are interested in, if you don't have any shame and you want to dumpster dive, PetSmart and Petco tend to throw like whole ass things out. Food, toys, things still in packaging, and they don't damage it. So
yeah, and don't quote me on this. There are listen, I'm not saying I ever did this, but I was a supervisor in a retail environment before, and when I would mark things out of stock, I would just leave it laying around.
Nothing. Just hanging around.
And if it went missing, I don't know. Man, I meant to damage that later.
I put it aside to damage it later, and I didn't, and then it was gone. So I don't know what happened.
It definitely did not happen with so many cookies. I promise. It didn't. Darn. So he marked the toy out of stock. He damaged it. He put it, in the back. And then the next morning when he came into work, so he closed one night and opened the next day. Clopening. Us retail people, we love it.
Clopening.
Yeah, you never heard of that?
I never worked retail.
Oh. Yeah, it's when you close and then open the next morning.
Ew.
Oh, I did it religiously. Because then you have the whole next day off, and then I would also schedule it so that I closed the day after, so that it was like I had 2 days off in a row. And it wasn't even a weekend.
All right.
I just really, that's how my Red Bull addiction started. Anyways, so this employee, he marked it out of stock. He came in the next morning, and when he was walking through the aisles, putting things away, he saw that the toy that he had marked out of stock and put away was now on the shelf. And all of the other openers who were there and the people who closed with him the night before had no idea how it got there.
Was it still damaged?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and when we say damage, like, a lot of times you have to cut things up, you have to write on it with marker, you have to, break it apart. Like, it's not just, you kind of bend it. No, like, you destroy it. It's called destroying it so that it can't be used. So it was destroyed and it was out on the shelf. So, a lot of these accounts people write off as pranks, which they very well could be. I'm not saying that these are real ghost encounters. I have no idea. But what I am saying is it's a little spoopy.
Especially when you're the one finding it.
Yeah. No, I mean, my parents' house growing up was a little haunted. Anyways, another, instance of haunting that's a little less specific is the Hotel Galvez, which is said to be built on top of where the majority of the sisters and the children were found and buried. These accounts are, a little less specific, but I feel like they are still worth a mention because they're freaking creepy. So guests would hear children running and laughing down the halls, but when they open the door, no one is there. Children crying for parents in the lobby, but there's no child to be seen. The piano. So in this hotel, there's the front desk, and the front desk has like a perfect view of the piano area that would be played by, a pianist for ambiance. Like a nice hotel.
A pianist?
Yeah, it's a really nice hotel. The receptionist heard the piano being played and no one was there. A female child in 19th century clothing seen bouncing a ball near a couple different staircases within the hotel. And another female child, can't confirm if it's the same child, how are we going to know, also wearing 19th century clothing, seen near a construction zone on the front desk. And this sighting is specifically tied to a group of construction workers who say that they have found, they saw this 19th century female child roaming the hotel all the fucking time. So,
they're like, ain't no thing. It's fine. Yeah,
like,
she lives here.
Kids. They're hanging out. So, yeah, there have been several sightings and, weird instances of people reporting that they're seeing or hearing the ghosts of the children from the St. Mary's Orphan Asylum. It seems like they never really left the coast of the Galveston Island. And that is the story of the hurricane of 1900 and the St. Mary's Orphan Asylum.
And the subsequent, Walmart hauntings.
Yeah. If you're ever at the Seawall Walmart in Galveston, Texas, let me know if you see them children.
If you've ever been there and had a ghost encounter, also let us know. Because
I need to know. If you have a compelling enough story, we will read it on an episode.
Mm-hmm. I've been thinking about that too. How it would be like if anybody shared their ghost story or something with
their
us.
Cryptid story.
Anything that you
spooky.
share that maybe we may read some of those comments that are interesting that tie into the different types of things that we cover on the channel. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
That will be so fun.
It would be a lot of fun. I really enjoy stuff like that. So please tell us your spooky stories, whether it's ghosts or cryptids or cults or anything.
Were you in a cult? Have you ever seen a cryptid? Have you ever had a paranormal experience?
Did you kiss Mothman?
Better not have.
In a Denny's parking lot, because if you did, we have beef. I'm going to read a little excerpt from this fucking creepy ass song. I'm sorry. Queen of the waves, look forth across the ocean, from north to south, from east to stormy west. See how the waters with tumultuous motion rise up in foam without a pause or rest. But fear we not those storm clouds round us gather. Thou art our mother, and thy little child is the all-merciful, our loving brother, God of the sea, and the tempest wild. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that would have given me the most anxiety I've ever had in my entire life. If there was a hurricane flooding my home and there's a bunch of nuns singing this to me? No.
No. Imagine you're walking down the street near the old location of the asylum and you just hear some female voices quietly singing this song floating over from the wreckage.
No.
Or from the ocean.
No.
No.
Listen, if you know me, which you know this and Kevin knows this, not many other people know this, I can fuck with a lot of horror movies, but if it involves supernatural, I'm out. And if it involves demonic children, I'm so far out that I am in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're so far out, you're back in?
Yeah.
Let's watch a movie about demonic children.
I don't watch it, I listen to it.
Oh.
I keep my eyes closed the whole time.
All right. Well, that's our little hurricane business, And if you, I mean, everybody that was involved in that is dead, but, you know, if it was your ancestor, I'm sorry to hear it, you know.
Yeah. Sound off, though. Let us know.
But yeah, tell us about your experiences if you've ever been there.
Yeah, let us know if you've had any spooky sightings at the Hotel Galvez or the Seawall Walmart. We want to hear about it.
And we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.